A Question of Yams by Gloria Rip. Do you remember what yams are? Sweet potatoes. Chapter 3, The Shadow. The next day, Curry went fishing. When he came back along the stream, he heard voices. Some men must be talking on the other side of the water. Who were they? He ducked into the bushes at the edge of the stream. Slowly and quietly, he slipped from bush to bush. Someone said his father's name. He crept closer and closer until he could see two men behind a pile of rocks. He caught sight of gray hair. Sakoso. What was he saying about father? Kuri did not stir. Sakoso was talking to a man who was as thin as a shadow, a man Kuri had never seen before. Then Kuri heard just a few words. And he must be punished. After that, Sakoso began to whisper. A minute later, the thin man nodded and ran off. Kuri crept back to the path and headed toward the garden. Once again, he hid on the rock behind the tall bushes, and he waited. He listened to the noisy birds. He swatted at the flies that buzzed around his head. He waited and waited. The sun began to set, making long shadows that slid across the garden. Kuri yawned. Maybe he had been wrong about the thin man. He peered through the leaves again, and another yawn died in his throat. One of those shadows in the garden was a man. It was the thin man, and he held a long, knobby stick in his hands. Kuri jumped down off the rock. The thin man raised his stick. He swung it down onto the yam vines. Kuri snatched up stones and threw them hard. He rushed from his hiding place. No, no, stop it, he shouted. He looked up the path. Come, everyone, come and see the wicked man in our garden, he yelled as loudly as he could. The thin man ran away just as father hurried down the path. That man tried to beat down our yams, Kuri cried. I heard Sakoso telling him what to do. The headmen must have sent him to ruin our garden. To Kuri's surprise, father bowed his head. He stood right there in the garden and asked God to protect their yams. Then he added, Mighty God, you have seen the men who want to do this wicked thing. Show them your power. Kuri had never heard father pray in such a loud voice. He hoped the thin man was listening. His father turned to him with a smile. Thank God that you were here, my son.